Over the last 25 years, I've had the privilege of interviewing and highlighting some truly interesting people. Everyone who is anyone, both the famous and the infamous, from presidents and their first ladies to kings and queens, movie stars and pop stars, captains of industry, heads of state, sports personalities, innovative entrepreneurs, and some pretty fascinating everyday people. Today, I'm proud to introduce you to Kristyn Snyer McKenna, a successful attorney whose professional mission is to help and represent children. Kristyn, I cannot think of a better mission for anyone than to be an advocate for a child. What first attracted you to a career in law?
Well, I've always known that I wanted to be a lawyer. My dad was in law enforcement, and I was interested in criminal justice. And when I went to law school, I channeled in on representing children and using that same passion in criminal justice involving children and camp protection for children. And so that's how I got involved.
That's so interesting. We share so much in common in that regard. I've always known that I was going to be a lawyer. I knew at 8 years old. And I remember telling my grandmother that I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And she said, well, baby, if you say you're going to be a lawyer, then that's what you're going to be. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm glad you chose being an advocate for children. I always wanted to be a trial attorney as a public prosecutor. So working for public service and for the public good, I think we share something in common there.
I think so too.
So tell me why you actually decided to specialize in this particular legal subdiscipline.
I took a class actually at Suffolk Law School where I attended because I knew I really wanted to have my own practice, and I also knew that I wanted to be in court a lot. And I came to find out that juvenile law was just starting in Massachusetts. That we were close to having our own court, and so I found out how to become involved in becoming an advocate for children. And so I am. That is the primary practice that I have. I represent teenagers, I represent small children, I represent them if they don't go to school or follow their parents' rules, I represent them if they're being abused or neglected. And so for the past 26 years, that's been my primary practice. I do act as a guardian ad litem in the probate court as well as in the juvenile court. And I think helping families really kind of come to resolution and to make life better for children has been so wonderful for me, knowing that I can help families in that way.
Mm-hmm. I want to let you know, my husband works in the same area. He's an administrative law judge, but he's also works in the family law area. And he often tells me that so many issues can be resolved outside of the legal system if you can just get the families to sit down and talk. Kristyn, has that been your experience also?
I would say yes. I took training in mediation as well, and I think that that's a really wonderful way for people who are not able, for in the divorce world, that if they're not able to live together but need to parent together, that's the best way for them to kind of sit down and make decisions about their family together rather than leave it up to a judge who doesn't really know their family and is going to have to make tough decisions based upon the evidence in front of them, and it may not be the best for the children. So I think that is absolutely true. And if people can meet with therapists or mediators outside of the courthouse, outside of litigation, is probably the best thing and the best way to handle it.
100%. I hear the passion in your voice right now. What makes you so passionate about advocacy for children?
When you see them smile, and all these little children, they have such beauty and such untapped abilities that if they weren't in the situation that they're in, or if they have people that can help them, we don't know what they could be and what they can become. This year I learned a lot about ACEs and trauma and how that's impacting children long term, even into adulthood, and how we as adults, so in my role or as social workers in the court, or even judges in the court can try to help to minimize those traumatic experiences for kids so that what they're born with, they can really go and, bring to the world all that beauty in their passions. So that's why I'm passionate about it, is I want to see them do well and go out into the world and make it a great place.
Kristyn, what are some of the ways that you feel you've made a difference for your clients?
I think I'm very good at listening. I try not to talk over them. I want them to feel like someone is hearing them, that they're important, that what they have to say is important, and that I'm going to advocate on their behalf to the judge and tell that judge what they're telling me, and in a way that they're listened to, and not just pushed off to the side. So I think that especially teenagers, if they know that you're listening, that you're hearing them, that you believe that they're important, and that you're advocating for them, I think that that's really helpful to them to know that they have some control in their life.
I think advocating for children is some of the ultimate in community service. Can you share with me how your practice gives back to the community?
Well, most of my practice is really for indigent people. And so it's for those people that can't afford to go out and hire a big law firm. I represent kids, but I also represent parents. And so to make sure that they know that they're being heard and that I'm working hard for them, that they're my client, and it doesn't matter, what amount of money I'm paid, that I'm going to be advocating strongly for them in their position. I think that's important for people to know. And, just by advocating for kids and helping them in school and getting the right services in school or getting the right treatment for them, that's going to have long-term impact on our society, so that, that they know that they can be really great people in our society, that people are going to listen to them, that they're going to be able to achieve their dreams, go on to school, go on and have great jobs, be able to raise their own family. So, in the big picture, our society only benefits.
If you start when they're children and let them know that they are indeed smart and capable, and that their dreams can come true, and that there's someone there advocating for them, is the best gift that you can give a child. I read that you really are passionate about your volunteer work also. So tell me a little bit about your volunteer work.
Right. So kind of in line with what I do in my law practice, I'm on the board for the Boys and Girls Club here in the Greater Lowell area, and they do wonderful work with kids from our community. And they have a STEM program and art programs and math programs and tutoring, and all summer long during COVID, they've been handing out food for them to take home when they weren't open, and giving them things to do, and putting together packets and doing Zoom videos. It's a wonderful, wonderful agency in our community. I'm also involved with Catholic Charities in our community as well, and they have a food pantry, and they help with visitation for parents, and they have Bridget's Crossing, which is a place for young women who need a place to stay with their babies. So those kind of I'm on that board as well, and it's just wonderful to see the good that can be done in our community to help those people that need it.
It certainly is. I admire the work that you're doing so very much. You brought up COVID, and we're living in an environment that has really changed our communities. I'm wondering, how has that impacted on the children that you serve in your community?
Well, it is very worrisome because the children that I represent, oftentimes, they have parents that are struggling in different ways, whether that it be with substance use or whether it be with mental health issues. And, school really is a safe haven. School is a place where people see what's going on and how are you? And, are you doing okay at home? And when eyes aren't on kids, they can fall through the cracks. Not every kid has the opportunity to have Wi-Fi and be able to get online and do their schoolwork. So I'm sure that there were many children that fell through the cracks that way, even though the school district, they're trying their best to give out what they can in terms of technology. But if you don't have a parent who's with you, that's sitting with you and helping you navigate on the computer and doing your work, you're falling through the cracks. And so I think that, you know, I'm hoping that this is going to be over soon, particularly for those children.
Same here indeed. Um, you've known that you wanted to be a lawyer from the beginning. You knew that you wanted to set up a practice so that you could give back to the community. You knew that you wanted to advocate for children. What advice would you give to anyone seeking a career in law?
You know, to follow your passion and what you're interested in. So, you know, going into juvenile law, you know, a lot of people wouldn't even know about it. And I found my way to do that type of law. You know, other people might be interested in international law or something else that they're passionate about. And I think that there's so many ways that we can learn and give back to the community in different types of law. You know, and just to find that area that you're passionate about every day, so that it's not, oh, I have to get up and, you know, read that estate plan or whatever it may be. And maybe there are people who are passionate about estate plans, but if you can find, you know, your passion in the law, there's so many different aspects that it's definitely possible.
I love seeking advice from smart women. And I know that other smart women, this is the way we feed our spirit and our soul. So what's the one thing you'd like the viewer of this video feature to walk away with?
I would say that you should follow your passions. I mean, I have avocations as well. I mean, I'm passionate about my law, but it's not my whole world. I have a beautiful family, and that's wonderful. And I have my avocation of my music. I love to sing, and I sing in church. And, you know, to have those other things to take away the stress as well, to minimize the stress is good for women. And so that's what I would say, is that even though you have your work and you're passionate about your work, to make sure that you have all those other areas of life that are important to you and that you give time to, so that, you know, you can really be present in your work.
Kristyn, I have to tell you, I'm one of these people that I call it as I see it, and I believe that you're doing God's work, and the community is served by just your passion for the thing that means the most to you. You bring your love for your family and your community into your work, and it really does serve children. And my great mentor, Marion Wright Edelman, has one of my very favorite quotes: if we don't stand up for children, then we don't stand for much. So you've been doing a lot of standing, and I'm very proud to have had this time to chat.
Thank you so very much. That's very kind. Thank you.